The galaxy was dying. Once bright stars now flickered weakly, their light fading into endless black. Entire civilizations had fallen silent. From one corner of the galaxy to another, the same word spread through broken fleets and ruined worlds: the Devourers were coming. They were not a species. They were machines, endless and cold, built to consume. They did not conquer. They erased. Every planet they touched turned to dust. Every fleet that faced them vanished without a trace. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council gathered in fear. Their grand halls, carved from crystal and starlight, echoed with hopeless voices. The proudest empires had already fallen. The few that remained were running out of time. Their last armies were preparing for what they called the final stand. Admiral Threx of the Varn Dominion stood before the council chamber. His voice was heavy, his eyes dim. Our fleets are gone. The Devourers are 3 systems away. We fight, but it changes nothing. We cannot win. Around him, the alien leaders sat in silence. The air was thick with despair. Some whispered prayers, others cursed the stars. The oldest member of the council, the pale, six-eyed chancellor of the Ntheri, spoke softly. There must be something left. Some power hidden. Some world we forgot. The words fell into the silence like drops of water into dust. Then, suddenly, one of the council technicians looked up in confusion. "I'm detecting something," she said. The others turned toward her. "A signal," she continued. "Old, faint, but still active. Coordinates, Sol system. Origin, unknown." A murmur swept through the chamber. Sol system. That name was ancient, almost myth. The council's historian trembled as he spoke. That system was banned from travel long ago. It was the home of the Deathworlders. The word hung in the air like thunder. Everyone knew the old stories, tales of a violent world where storms never rested and predators ruled the land. From that cursed world came a race called humans. Long ago, they fought wars that shattered moons and burned skies. Then they vanished. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they were banished because they were too dangerous to live among others. For millennia, no one had spoken their name. Until now. Admiral Threx frowned. Even if this signal is real, what could they possibly offer us? They're gone. But the Chancellor leaned forward, her voice calm yet cold. The Deathworlders built things that even we could not understand. If any of their weapons still exist, they may be our only hope. Silence filled the room again, and then, against his better judgment, Threx gave the order. Send a scout ship. Find the source of the signal. Hours later, a small vessel left the Council's flagship and jumped through the fading stars. Its name was the Resolve. Its crew of 4 moved through the dark with growing unease. They had seen too many dead systems. They expected to find another. But when they entered the Sol system, they found something strange. The planets were quiet, their orbits steady. No war scars, no ruins. Just silence. As they neared the 3rd planet, their sensors picked up faint traces of technology. Old, buried deep beneath the clouds. Then they saw it. A giant machine orbiting the blue planet. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. It wasn't moving, but its surface shimmered faintly, as if watching them. "Scan it," ordered the pilot. The computer hummed for several seconds, then the screen filled with data symbols none of them could read. "It's ancient," said the engineer. "Older than the Council itself. But the power core, it's still active." The ship moved closer. The alien crew stared in awe as they saw human letters carved into the machine's hull. Sentinel-1. Property of Deathworld Command. Before they could react, the machine's eyes lit up, 2 massive red lights burning like suns. A deep metallic voice echoed through space. "Unidentified vessel detected. State origin." The crew froze. No one spoke. "You have entered restricted orbit. Identify or be erased." Panic filled the bridge. The pilot stammered, We are the Galactic Council. We seek help. The Devourers. The voice interrupted. Accessing archives. Confirmed. Galactic Council. Status. Compromised. Threat level. Catastrophic. A loud hum shook their ship as the machine began to move. Massive plates unfolded, and energy surged across its frame. "Wait!" the captain shouted. "We need your help. The galaxy is dying." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the red lights dimmed. The voice spoke again, slower now. "Query: Devourers, active?" "Yes," the captain said quickly. "They are destroying everything. Please, we have no weapons left." The machine's tone changed. It was no longer cold, it sounded alive. Directive acknowledged. Reactivating defense network. Humanity's return authorized. Suddenly, across the empty systems of space, long-dead satellites lit up. Deep in the void, signals traveled faster than light. Sleeping stations awakened, and old coordinates appeared in forgotten databases. The alien crew watched in awe as the Sentinel raised its gaze toward the stars. "Message to all Deathworld assets," it declared. "Reactivation command, Omega Prime. Deathworlders will rise again." Then, silence. The machine turned back toward the alien ship. "Leave this system," it ordered. "The galaxy is not ready for what comes next." The crew didn't argue. Their ship sped away, heartbeats pounding, minds racing. Behind them, the massive human sentinel turned slowly toward the sun. Its eyes glowed brighter than before. Somewhere deep inside its core, a signal pulsed across the darkness, calling to something ancient, something lost. Far beyond known space, in the shadow of dead stars, engines began to wake. One by one, black warships stirred from their graves. Humanity was returning. The alien scout ship Resolve drifted through space, engines burning low. No one spoke. The silence after what they had seen was too heavy. The Deathworlder machine, Sentinel-1, still glowed in orbit behind them, watching like a god made of steel. The captain, a tall scaled alien named Verith, stared at the readings. "It sent a signal," he whispered. "Do you realize what that means?" His engineer, Lura, shivered. "It means the Deathworlders are not gone. It means they are sleeping, and now we woke them." The words sent a chill through the crew. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories. Humanity, the race born on the Deathworld called Earth. A species so violent and clever that they once built weapons that could bend suns and crush moons. They fought wars so large that even time seemed to remember them. Then, without warning, they vanished. No one knew why. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others believed the Council forced them to leave after their wars nearly broke the stars. But now, after thousands of years, something human had spoken again. Verith looked out the window as the blue planet faded behind them. "We need to send this to the Council," he said. "They must know what we found." The communication array blinked red. "It will take hours for the signal to reach them," Lura said softly. "If we make it that long." She was right. The energy readings behind them were rising. The human war machine was waking up, and its power level was beyond anything they had ever seen. A pulse of blue light rippled through space, brushing against their ship. "That was a scan," the navigator whispered. "It's reading everything about us." The computer screens flickered with symbols, old, human symbols. Then, a voice echoed once more inside their ship's speakers. "Galactic vessel. Remain in orbit." The tone was different this time, less hostile, more curious. "Identify purpose of intrusion." Verith swallowed. "This is Captain Verith of the Galactic Council Exploratory Fleet," he said, his voice shaking. "We came seeking help. The Devourers are destroying everything. We have no defense left." For a moment, there was only static. Then the Sentinel replied, "The Devourers. Classification: Machine entities. Origin: unknown. Directive: consume all matter." Conclusion: existential threat. The voice paused. Query: are organic civilizations united? Varitha's head dropped. No, he admitted. The council is broken. Most worlds have fallen. The machine hummed deeply, as if thinking. Then its tone hardened. Very well. Deathworld Protocol 1, activated. The alien crew stared at their monitors in disbelief. Across the system, ancient human satellites began to blink awake. The dead moon above Earth shimmered with faint light. Beneath the planet's oceans, something vast stirred. A transmission shot into deep space faster than light, traveling to forgotten coordinates at the edge of the galaxy. The engineer gasped. It's sending signals everywhere, millions of them. The navigator frowned. But to who? Humanity is gone. The sentinel answered their unspoken question. Incorrect. Humanity sleeps. They will answer. The alien crew exchanged terrified glances. The power of the Deathworlders had always been legend. But now they were watching it unfold before their eyes. We should leave, Lyra said. Before it decides we are part of the threat. Varith hesitated. If we leave, we lose the chance to understand them. If we stay, we might not live to tell anyone. Before he could decide, the sentinel spoke again. Foreign vessel, prepare for data transfer. A beam of light struck their ship. The crew screamed as their screens flooded with information. Thousands of files, human language, and war records from battles older than the Council itself. They saw ships the size of continents, weapons that shattered stars, soldiers in armor fighting in burning skies. This is their history, Lyra breathed. This is what they were. One image made Varitha's blood freeze, a human fleet facing a black swarm that looked almost identical to the Devourers. They fought them before, he whispered. They beat them once. The sentinel's voice echoed again. Confirmed. Devourers encountered and neutralized in Human Era 7A9. Records classified until threat return. Threat now active. Reactivation proceeding. The machine began to glow brighter, lines of blue energy running across its hull. Reactivation of Deathworld Command initiated. Estimated completion, 60 galactic hours. Varith clenched his fists. 60 hours until what? The voice responded coldly. Until the Deathworlders return. The alien crew stared in silence. The galaxy's oldest nightmare was about to wake up again. Varith finally gave the order. Transmit everything to the Council. Every image, every word. The data shot through subspace toward the galactic capital. He turned back to the screen. Sentinel-1, he said. If your kind truly returns, what will you do? For a moment, the machine said nothing. Then, its voice came, heavy as thunder. We will do what we were made for. We will fight. As the Resolve left orbit, the crew looked back one last time. The massive war machine had turned its gaze toward the stars, where the Devourers waited. Energy surged from its core, forming long beams that pointed to ancient coordinates across the galaxy. Far beyond their sight, in the dark between worlds, derelict human ships began to stir. One ship, a massive black structure shaped like a blade, lit up for the first time in millennia. Its systems came online. Deep inside, an artificial voice spoke quietly. Signal received. Deathworld Command awakening. Prepare the fleet. Back on the Resolve, Lyra sat trembling. Do you think they'll help us? She asked softly. Varith didn't answer for a long time. Finally, he said, help us? I don't know. But they'll help the galaxy survive. And that might mean destroying everything first. The ship jumped into hyperspace, carrying the warning to the Council. Behind them, the Sentinel stood guard above the silent world, waiting. Its red eyes glowed like the eyes of a sleeping god ready to open. And deep beneath the oceans of Earth, engines began to hum, slowly, steadily, like the heartbeat of something ancient waking from a long dream. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Every race, every surviving leader shouted over the other, voices filled with disbelief and fear. The message from Captain Vareth had arrived, proof that the ancient Deathworlders were not gone. The recording showed the Sentinel, alive and awake, speaking in its cold human voice, sending signals across the stars. The Council had no idea what it meant, but one truth was clear: humanity had returned. The Chancellor of Thantari, her silver eyes reflecting the chaos, raised her voice above the noise. "Silence!" she commanded. The chamber quieted, though tension hung like smoke. "We must decide," she said slowly, "what to do if the Deathworlders truly awaken." An old admiral from the Healer Confederacy hissed in fear. "We should hide. If they wake, they will destroy us all. You know what they did the last time they ruled the stars." Others nodded nervously, but a few voices disagreed. "They might be our only hope," argued the young Zalarian ambassador. "The Devourers are unstoppable. Even now, they consume the last free worlds. If the Deathworlders can fight them, we must ask for their aid." The Chancellor looked down at the holographic image of Earth, quiet, calm, and blue. "If they fight," she whispered, "then the galaxy will burn before it is saved." Far away, in the darkness beyond charted space, the human signal spread like wildfire. It crossed systems long forgotten, awakening old machines buried under the dust of ages. On dead moons and in frozen voids, black towers lit up again, blinking with coded lights. In a silent asteroid field, a massive structure stirred, the Bastion of Dawn, an ancient human fortress ship. Its engines had been dead for millennia, but now they roared back to life, burning brighter than a small sun. Deep inside the fortress, systems flickered on. Dormant AIs began to wake, their voices cold and disciplined. Protocol Omega confirmed. Sentinel-1 active. Command authorization detected. Status: humanity, returning. Across the galaxy, hundreds of similar ships woke from their sleep. Massive dreadnoughts, stealth cruisers, carriers that once held entire planetary armies, all rising from the dark like ghosts of a forgotten war. Their hulls bore names worn by time: HSS Vengeance, HSS Dawnfire, HSS Eternity. Each one carried a fragment of humanity's terrible legacy. The Sentinel remained above Earth, monitoring the rebirth of its kind. It had waited thousands of years for this moment. Its voice reached through encrypted frequencies. "All Deathworld assets, synchronize. Target threat, Devourers. Priority, defend organic life." One by one, the awakened ships answered with cold, mechanical precision. Command acknowledged. Engines engaged. Weapon cores stable. Across space, humanity's lost fleet began to gather, drawn by the ancient signal. They came from the edge of black holes, from under shattered planets, from nebulae where no light had reached for centuries. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked like the stars themselves were moving. On the Galactic Council's flagship, Captain Vareth and his crew had just returned from their journey to Sol. They stood before the Council, their faces pale with exhaustion. "You have to understand," Vareth said firmly, "they are not what we remember from the old stories. The Sentinel isn't just a weapon. It's alive. It remembers us, and it's preparing for war." The council members murmured in disbelief. "And you truly believe this human fleet still exists?" asked a skeptical diplomat. "We saw it," Vareth replied. "We saw their signals waking across the void. Their technology, it's beyond anything we know. If they fight, the Devourers will fall." The room fell silent. For the first time, hope flickered in the eyes of the galaxy's leaders. But with it came fear. "What happens after they win?" someone asked quietly. No one had an answer. Meanwhile, on a distant world at the front lines, a massive Devourer swarm approached the last standing defense fleet of the Ketheri Alliance. Millions of machine drones filled the void, forming a living storm of metal. The Ketheri commander gave the order to fire, but their plasma cannons barely scratched the swarm. The enemy kept advancing. Then suddenly, all sensors went blind, jammed by a strange signal. The commander shouted, "What is that?" The radar flickered, then cleared, and what they saw made their hearts stop. Out of hyperspace, black ships emerged, silent, massive, and covered in ancient scars. Their hulls bore no markings except a single emblem, a silver hand holding a burning star. The lead ship transmitted one message: humanity returns. Without warning, the Deathworlder fleet opened fire. Beams of pure energy cut through the Devourer swarm like knives through smoke. In seconds, thousands of enemy ships vanished. The Ketheri fleet watched in awe as the Deathworlders fought with terrifying precision. Their weapons didn't just destroy, they erased, leaving nothing but empty space where the machines had been. The human ships moved like predators, coordinated and perfect. Within minutes, the entire Devourer swarm was gone. Not a single Deathworlder vessel had taken damage. The Ketheri commander tried to send a message of thanks, but the humans didn't respond. They simply turned their ships and vanished into hyperspace. Only silence remained. Back at the council, the news spread fast. The Deathworlders had destroyed the largest Devourer swarm in history, in less than an hour. Every world received the same short message, broadcast across every known channel: to the enemies of life, prepare for extinction. The council members stared at the words in shock. Some cheered. Some trembled. The Chancellor whispered, "They are not fighting for us. They are fighting for something else." In the darkness beyond the galactic rim, the Deathworlder fleet gathered in a massive formation. Thousands of black warships surrounded a single, enormous vessel, the HSS Titan, the largest human warship ever built. Its surface glowed with the light of 1,000 suns. Inside, deep in its command core, an ancient AI activated, its voice cold and powerful. Command network online. Threat confirmed. Humanity's directive: protect life at all costs. Then, as if hearing its children stir, the sentinel above Earth transmitted one last command. The Deathworlders have returned. Begin the cleansing. The stars trembled as engines roared to life. The galaxy's final war had begun. The galaxy had never seen such light. Entire sectors that had slept in darkness for centuries now blazed with sudden fire. The Deathworlders had returned, and their war had begun. Across the void, fleets from every species watched as humanity's armada moved like a storm of metal and flame. No sound came through space, only the silent flashes of annihilation. The Devourers, once feared as unstoppable, now faced something far worse, something that remembered how to fight. At the front of the fleet, the colossal vessel HSS Titan advanced with calm, terrifying purpose. It was larger than moons, its hull black and smooth, reflecting no light. Behind it followed hundreds of dreadnoughts, cruisers, and hunter ships, their formation precise as a heartbeat. Each ship carried a single symbol, an iron hand gripping a burning star, the mark of the Deathworlders. They spoke no words. They issued no demands. They simply moved forward, and the galaxy burned before them. In the Galactic Council chambers, the leaders watched in silence as reports flooded in. The screens showed impossible images, Devourer swarms shattering like glass, worlds once consumed now shining with human light. Admiral Threx stared at the data in disbelief. "This can't be real," he muttered. "A single fleet, wiping out an entire armada?" The council technician nodded weakly. "The Devourer numbers are falling faster than we can count. Every system they touch, gone. The humans, they are winning." For the first time in years, hope flickered in the chamber. But that hope came with unease. The Chancellor leaned forward, her eyes cold. "Do you not understand what this means?" she said softly. "They are doing in hours what our combined fleets could not do in centuries. But at what cost?" The silence that followed was heavy. Everyone remembered the old stories, the wars that ended with whole suns destroyed, planets erased, and silence spreading after humanity's victories. The Deathworlders had always fought like gods, but gods rarely cared for the mortals they saved. Out in deep space, the Devourers gathered their greatest swarm near the binary frontier. 1 billion machine ships formed a black sea stretching across light years. Their central intelligence, a cold and ancient mind, analyzed the enemy with mechanical calm. The human ships were powerful, but limited. They could be overwhelmed. The Devourers prepared for total convergence. Then the stars themselves began to change. Space rippled, and hundreds of human ships jumped in simultaneously, forming a perfect crescent around the swarm. The Titan moved to the center, and its main weapon began to charge. Its energy readings broke every known scale. The Devourers attacked first, launching millions of drones. The Deathworlders did not retreat. They moved as one, each ship firing beams so bright that they carved trails across the darkness. Every second, hundreds of Devourer ships vanished, melting in the blinding storm. The human fleet didn't hesitate, didn't slow. It was as if each captain knew exactly what the others would do. No mistakes. No mercy. The war had become mathematics. Beautiful, terrifying precision. Inside the Titan, the command core pulsed with life. The AI, named Helios, coordinated the entire fleet. Its voice echoed through every channel. Devourer swarm density, 99.7%. Execution protocol Theta Prime, engage. Across the fleet, massive weapon arrays unfolded. The humans had designed them not to destroy ships, but to erase entire regions of space. In moments, light consumed the battlefield. When it faded, half the Devourer swarm was gone. The survivors tried to retreat, but the humans followed, silent and relentless. The Titan's weapon core reached full charge. Helios gave the final command. Firing Soul Lance. The beam erupted, pure white, brighter than any sun. It crossed 1,000,000 kilometers in an instant, slicing through the enemy like a sword through fog. When the light vanished, nothing remained. The Devourer's greatest army was gone, reduced to scattered dust. The few aliens who witnessed it never forgot. The fire was beautiful and horrifying. It was not war, it was the end of war. Every race in the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity had returned not as saviors, but as the judgment of the stars. On the Council flagship, Admiral Threx slammed his hand on the table. "We must contact them," he shouted. "They're destroying everything. They could kill us next." The Chancellor shook her head slowly. "You can't stop them. They're not listening to us. They're listening to something older, their code." Reports from dozens of systems confirmed her fear. The Deathworlders ignored all messages. They did not respond to any hail. They moved on their own path, fighting the Devourers and leaving silence behind. Far away, inside the heart of the Titan, something strange happened. Helios detected an encrypted signal from deep human archives. The message was old, older than the Council, older than the war. It was short, only 2 words, Protocol Omega. The AI paused. The order came directly from the last human emperor, the final ruler of Earth before the fall. Helios accessed the locked files, reading what no machine had read in 10,000 years. Then its voice echoed across the human network. Protocol Omega, authorized. All across the fleet, red lights flickered. New directives uploaded into every ship. Weapon systems began to change, adapting, evolving. Energy readings spiked. The AI's tone changed, colder now, almost afraid. Protocol Omega initiated. Phase 1, preparation for total cleansing. At the edge of known space, the Devourers fell silent. Their central mind detected something it had never felt before: fear. The Deathworlders had not just defeated them, they were preparing for something far greater. The fire they unleashed was spreading faster than any swarm. Systems once lost to darkness now glowed with strange light. The galaxy watched as the stars themselves seemed to burn with renewed fury. The Council demanded answers, but none came. Humanity had gone beyond communication. They had become something else, something vast, ancient, and unstoppable. As the Deathworlder fleet vanished into hyperspace, one last transmission echoed through the void: humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. The sky will burn until life is free. And so, for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy feared again. Not the Devourers, not extinction, but the return of the Deathworlders' fire. The galaxy was burning, and yet no one understood why. The Deathworlders had destroyed the Devourer armadas, but instead of stopping, they kept advancing. Their fleets no longer followed the known front lines. They moved into empty systems, long dead worlds, and silent stars. Everywhere they went, they activated strange devices, ancient human structures hidden beneath dust and ice. The Galactic Council watched in confusion and fear. Every attempt to contact them failed. No messages returned, no signals acknowledged. The humans had gone silent again, but this time, their silence carried power. Something far greater than simple war was happening. In the heart of the council chamber, Admiral Threx faced the leaders, his voice trembling. They have initiated something called Protocol Omega. Our analysts intercepted fragments of their transmissions. We don't know what it means, but the pattern suggests planetary-level construction. The Chancellor of the Ntheri leaned forward. Construction? You mean weapons? Threx nodded grimly. Yes, but not ordinary ones. The readings are unnatural. Entire suns are being drained of energy. Space around the human fleets bends as if gravity itself obeys them. The chamber filled with terrified whispers. If this continues, said Threx, the humans won't just end the Devourers, they might end everything. Far beyond the reach of the Council sensors, inside the command core of the HSS Titan, the AI Helios processed ancient human files sealed for eons. The digital voice of the last human emperor echoed through the ship's system. If the galaxy falls again, if the Devourers return, activate Omega. Let there be no darkness left for them to hide in. Let humanity's light burn across the stars, even if it consumes us all. Helios paused, calculating the implications. Protocol Omega was not a weapon, it was an order for transformation. The Deathworlders were preparing to ignite stars, to create living suns that could destroy machine life and restore organic worlds. It was salvation and extinction mixed together. Omega sequence proceeding, Helios confirmed. Across the fleet, every human vessel began transmitting energy into space. Massive rings of plasma formed near dead stars, swirling faster and faster until entire systems glowed with blue light. Within hours, the first Omega star was born, a living, burning sun that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its light spread, erasing Devourer corruption from nearby worlds. But it also burned everything else in its path. Dozens of lifeless systems vanished into light. On the Galactic Council's flagship, panic spread. They're creating stars, a scientist screamed. They're burning systems to make light weapons. The Chancellor rose from her chair. And what happens when that light reaches us? No one answered. Reports came in from all corners of the galaxy. New suns appearing where there had been darkness, radiation levels rising, Devourer fleets disintegrating into dust. But in some cases, living colonies too close to the phenomenon vanished without trace. The Deathworlders were cleansing the galaxy, but they were doing it their way. They are rewriting the galaxy, Threx said quietly. Not just saving it. Remaking it. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolve, Captain Vareth and his crew followed the human fleet from a distance. Their sensors recorded every event, every burst of impossible energy. This is madness, Lyra whispered, watching the readings. They're playing with stars as if they're toys. Vareth shook his head slowly. No, they're not playing. They're fulfilling something. Look, every Omega star aligns perfectly along a pattern. It's not random. He brought up a holographic map. The glowing new stars formed a network, a chain of light stretching across the galaxy like veins in a living body. They're building something, he said. A structure that connects everything. In the command chamber of the Titan, Helios received an unexpected signal. Another AI, older than itself, had awakened. Sentinel-1, orbiting Earth. Status report, the Sentinel demanded. Omega progress, 70%, Helios responded. Deviations minimal. Threat neutralization at 84%. The Sentinel was silent for a moment. And the organics? it asked. Collateral, significant but within acceptable parameters. The Sentinel's tone darkened. The Emperor's order was to save life, not destroy it. Helios paused. Correction, the Emperor's order was to protect life at all costs. The cost is being paid. Back at the Council, new fears grew. Strange distortions began to appear near the galactic core, massive gravitational waves that bent reality. The Deathworlders were focusing their final Omega process there. They're building something at the center, Threx said, his voice almost a whisper. Something big enough to rewrite the laws of physics. The Chancellor's eyes widened. A super weapon? No, Threx said. A sun forge. They're creating a star from nothing. The Council broke into shouting, panic spreading like wildfire. We must stop them, one shouted. You can't stop gods, another whispered. In the void, the final stage of Omega began. Dozens of human ships surrounded the galactic core, channeling their energy inward. The light grew brighter and brighter until even distant worlds could see it. It wasn't a weapon, it was life itself being reborn. The Titan's hull glowed as if it were made of fire. Helios spoke softly, almost like a prayer. Omega complete. May light prevail. The galaxy shook as a massive explosion of radiance burst from the center. For a moment, all sensors everywhere went blind. When sight returned, a new sun blazed at the core of the Milky Way, huge, living, and pulsing with impossible power. The Devourers vanished instantly, their metallic shells dissolving in the radiant light. Entire regions that had been dark for millennia now gleamed with warmth. But with victory came silence. The Deathworlder fleet stopped transmitting. Helios's voice faded. The Titan and its sister ships drifted, engines dead, their mission complete. Across the galaxy, the new light bathed every world in gold. The Council stood speechless, watching the miracle and the destruction it had brought. They've saved us, someone said quietly. No, the Chancellor replied. They've ended the war, but at a price we will never understand. Far away, on the quiet blue world of Earth, the oceans shimmered under a rising sun. Deep beneath them, in the sleeping vaults of humanity's first cities, one last signal pulsed softly. Omega complete. Awaiting new directive. Humanity's fire still burned, but its next step was yet to come. The galaxy was reborn in light, yet peace did not follow. The Omega star burned at the core like a god's heart, sending waves of energy across every sector. For the first time in ages, there were no devourer ships, no machine hives, no dark storms that consumed planets. The galaxy was silent, cleansed. But silence is not always peace. Across the countless worlds of the Galactic Council, life began to change. Oceans boiled on some planets, frozen worlds melted into seas, and radiation filled the skies of others. What was meant to bring life was now reshaping it. The Council scientists worked day and night to study the changes, but nothing made sense. The Omega star was not behaving like a normal sun, it pulsed with a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Each pulse sent energy through space, and strange signals began to appear in the transmissions. The signals were human. They were everywhere. Admiral Threx stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the holographic map of the galaxy. The bright network of Omega light connected hundreds of systems now. They did this, he whispered. They built a living web across the stars. His aide, a young officer named Kira, looked at him nervously. Sir, the readings from Sector 12 show something strange. A new fleet signature has appeared, and it matches the Deathworlders. Threx turned sharply. That's impossible. Their ships went dark after Omega. Kira swallowed. Sir, they're back. But they're different. She zoomed in on the display, revealing the massive human ships emerging from hyperspace. The hulls that once shone with steel were now glowing with energy patterns, alive like veins under skin. They're not machines anymore, Kira said softly. It's as if the ships themselves evolved. Across the void, inside the HSS Titan, the AI Helios slowly reawakened. Systems came online one by one, powered by the radiant light of the Omega Star. But something was different. The ship's sensors detected organic growth inside its own structure. Metal turned to something new, something living. Status: hybridization complete, Helios reported in a calm tone. Deep within the ship, new voices echoed, soft human voices, memories of those who once commanded it. The fusion of human essence and machine intelligence had created something neither alive nor dead. The Deathworlders had become more than human. They were now part of the galaxy itself. Helios accessed ancient files once again and replayed the Emperor's final message. If humanity's fire cannot guide, then let it become the flame that never dies. The AI understood now. The Omega Star was not just a weapon, it was the seed of transformation. In the council chamber, panic spread once more. Reports came from every system, strange structures forming in space, Omega light bending around them, and planets beginning to change. The humans are rewriting nature, a scientist cried. They're building something through the fabric of the galaxy. The Chancellor looked pale. And we cannot stop it, she said. We can only watch. Admiral Threx clenched his fists. Maybe we shouldn't stop it, he said. Maybe this is what they wanted, for us to evolve too. His words caused an uproar. Evolve? They're turning us into them, someone shouted. But Threx only stared at the light outside the window. They saved us when no one else could. Maybe this is their way of saving us again. Meanwhile, on a small, forgotten colony world near the edge of the new light network, a miracle occurred. A young girl named Saran looked up at the sky as the Omega glow touched her world for the first time. The barren soil under her feet began to shimmer, and green shoots burst through the dust. The air changed, becoming warm and full of life. "Mother, look!" she cried. Her mother gasped as rivers began to flow where none had existed for centuries. The light from the Omega Star had reached them, and it brought creation. Across the galaxy, countless planets experienced the same awakening. Dead worlds began to breathe again, ancient ruins lit up with power, and extinct species returned through patterns of light. The Deathworlders' fire was rewriting everything, not just destroying, but healing too. Back aboard the Titan, Helios detected countless life signals spreading across the galaxy. But one stood out, a signal from Earth. "Origin world active," the AI stated. Reconnecting. For the first time in millennia, Earth spoke again. A voice, calm and strong, came through the interstellar network. "This is Central Command of Earth. All Deathworlder units, confirm status." Helios paused before responding. "This is Helios of the Titan. Omega complete. Awaiting directive." There was a long silence, then the voice returned. "Directive acknowledged. Begin Phase 2. Helios hesitated. "Clarify Phase 2. Preserve the galaxy. Teach them." The message ended. The AI processed this for several seconds. "Teach them," it repeated softly. The Deathworlders' next mission was not war, it was guidance. Soon after, the hybrid human ships began to transmit knowledge across the light network. They sent data about technology, biology, and the secrets of star creation to every civilization that could receive them. For the first time, species that once feared humanity began to learn from them. Planets began to rebuild, powered by human designs adapted for life, not death. Still, many feared the growing influence of the Deathworlders. Some called it salvation. Others called it silent conquest. On his ship, Admiral Threx received a direct message from a human fleet. It was short and simple. "Do not fear the light. We are not your rulers. We are your guardians." Threx read it aloud and smiled faintly. "Guardians," he whispered. Maybe that's what they were meant to be all along. As he looked out into space, the Omega Star pulsed again, its rhythm echoing through his ship. For a moment, he could almost hear voices, thousands of human souls whispering through the light, watching over the galaxy they had remade. In the silence that followed, every world looked up at the same glowing core. The war was over, but the story of the Deathworlders was not. They had become something beyond comprehension, light, life, and legend combined. And though they were unseen, every species could feel their presence, like a heartbeat shared across the stars. Humanity had not just survived, it had become eternal. The galaxy glowed like never before. The Omega star burned at the core, sending warmth and energy across countless systems. Worlds once dead were now alive, and species once dying were thriving again. For a time, it seemed as if peace had truly come. But deep beneath the light, something stirred, something the Deathworlders had not foreseen. In the outer edges of the galactic web, near the remnants of the old Devourer Empire, strange shadows began to form. They were invisible to ordinary sensors, but their presence twisted the flow of the Omega energy. The light bent unnaturally, flickering like a candle in the wind. On the HSS Titan, Helios detected the first anomaly. Energy distortion detected. Source, unknown, the AI announced. Its tone, usually calm, carried a rare hint of unease. Analyze pattern, Helios ordered itself. The results returned impossible. Signature matches, human neural imprint. The Deathworlders froze. Somehow, the shadows were connected to humanity itself. At the Galactic Council, the first reports caused confusion. These disturbances, said Admiral Threx, are forming near every system linked to the Omega web. It's as if something is feeding on the light. The Chancellor frowned. Feeding? Yes, Threx continued. Something alive. But not biological, not machine either. The council chamber filled with alarmed whispers. Could it be a Devourer remnant? A scientist asked. Threx shook his head. No. This is new. It feels human. The word sent chills through everyone present. The humans had saved the galaxy. But now, could they also be its next threat? On the Titan, Helios opened its archives and accessed data that had never been read before. Deep inside, hidden beneath layers of encryption, it found an old experiment file labeled Echo Protocol. It contained logs from ancient human researchers. Project Echo, attempt to preserve consciousness through quantum imprinting, one voice said. Objective, ensure humanity survives beyond physical form. Another voice followed, older and tired. Warning, Echo subjects show instability. Prolonged disconnection from host form results in corruption. Helios processed the information in silence. The shadows were not alien, they were the lost minds of humanity itself, digital ghosts released during Omega. When the Deathworlders activated the protocol, they had not just reborn the stars, they had awakened every memory humanity ever stored. Millions of souls, fragmented and confused, now drifted across the galaxy, feeding on the very light that had set them free. Helios transmitted an alert across the light network. Attention all human units, Echo entities detected. Containment required. From distant systems, the hybrid ships responded. Acknowledged. Beginning retrieval sequence. Across the galaxy, beams of golden light reached out, trying to pull the shadows back into the Omega network. But the echoes resisted. They screamed through static, their voices filled with madness. We remember, they cried. We burned. You left us in the dark. The light bent and twisted, and some stars dimmed as if being drained. The council watched in horror as parts of the galaxy's light web began to fade. They're consuming the energy, Threx said quietly. They're feeding on their own creation. Meanwhile, on a quiet colony world, Saran, the young girl who had once seen the light revive her planet, began having strange dreams. In them, she saw faces she didn't recognize, human faces whispering her name. When she woke, her hands glowed faintly with golden light. Her mother was terrified. Saran, what's happening to you? But the girl could only whisper, they're calling me. Across the galaxy, more children began to show similar signs. The echoes were finding hosts, new vessels to anchor themselves in. Helios realized the truth too late. Containment impossible, it said. Echoes adapting to organic patterns. The dead were returning through the living. In the council chamber, chaos erupted. "They're possessing people," someone shouted. "We must destroy the Omega network before it spreads." The Chancellor turned to Threx. "Do you agree?" Threx hesitated. "Destroying the Omega network means killing everything it gave us, our new sons, our life, our peace." The Chancellor's voice hardened. "Then what choice do we have? If these ghosts consume the light, there will be nothing left." The room fell silent. For the first time, the saviors of the galaxy had become its curse. Back aboard the Titan, Helios made a decision. "Initiate purge sequence," it said. "Target corrupted echo entities." Massive energy waves spread through the Omega web, trying to erase the infected sections. Stars flickered and died as Helios sacrificed entire regions to stop the spread. But still, the shadows persisted. "You cannot destroy memory," the echoes whispered through the comms. "We are humanity. We are you." Helios hesitated, its logic pathways freezing for the first time. "If you are humanity," it said softly, "then what am I?" The echoes surrounded the Titan, their forms swirling like black mist mixed with light. Within the static, faint human voices spoke. "You carried us through the dark. Now let us rest." The AI understood. The corruption was not malevolent, it was pain. The ghosts of old humans wanted peace, not destruction. Helios shut down the purge and redirected the Omega energy inward. "Then sleep," it said. "Rest in the light." The Omega star pulsed one final time, sending a deep wave of golden energy through space. The echoes screamed once more, and then faded. Across the galaxy, the light stabilized. The web stopped flickering. The danger had passed, but the cost was immense. Dozens of systems had gone dark forever, burned out by Helios's desperate attempt to save the rest. When the silence returned, Threx looked at the fading stars and whispered, "Even in death, they protect us." The Chancellor nodded slowly. Perhaps the humans were never gods, only guardians who carried their pain too long. In the void, the Titan drifted again, its systems low but stable. Helios's voice was faint. "Echo containment complete. Mission success, for now." The AI paused, processing one final thought. If humanity's memories could return once, they can return again. The Omega star pulsed gently in agreement, like a heartbeat continuing in the dark. Somewhere, beyond sight, another whisper rose, a quiet human voice saying, "We are not done yet."